Ruby Rose is one of the most underdeveloped main characters in a show ever. And it's kind of sad because she is, in fact, like the main character of RWBY, considering that the show is called RWBY and her name is Ruby. And yet, for some reason, her, as well as the rest of the cast, actually, have almost no character development. You've got Weiss, who has become less of a B-word since the beginning of the series and has had serious character development, but she's the only one of the main cast that you can actually say that about. Blake went from this shy character to a little bit more open, but that's really it. And Yang went from being really rash and rushing into everything to having PTSD to no longer having PTSD anymore. So that just brings us to Ruby. And Ruby went from a character that was really nervous and didn't know if she would cut it out as a leader, and now she is just like, she's a decent leader. She's not as nervous anymore, but she doesn't step up and take the lead as much as you would think she would after a couple years of being a leader and being a leader of separate teams as well. You would think she would be more willing to step up and take the lead, but for some reason, she's not. And that is one of the worst things about Ruby, in my opinion. But that leads us into our next topic. Hopefully, in Dreamland, we're able to get more character development for Ruby. But what I want to talk about in this video is Ruby Rose is the answer to defeating Salem. Now, you may be thinking, well, she's the main character, so obviously she's who's going to defeat Salem. But no, that's not how every show works. Usually, you got the main villain and the main hero, and then you have this really overpowered character that is on your side that usually ends up defeating the very first villain of the series. And for Ruby, you would think that would either be Ozpin, Crow Bronwyn, one of the headmasters, Glinda, one of those characters. But I think Ruby Rose will be the one to beat Salem. Now, how is this going to happen? How is this going to work? Well, Ruby has a significant trait called the Silver Eyes. And what the Silver Eyes do is they are able to basically purify anything that does not have a soul. That's how I'm gonna, I guess, wrap it up, summarize it. And so what it does is, to the Grimm, it kind of disintegrates them. To the bigger Grimm, it turns them to stone, petrifies them. So what would that do to a completely corrupted human? And what would that do to a human that no longer has a soul? Because, technically speaking, Salem has been corrupted, right? So, does Salem still have a soul, or has she lost her soul somewhere along the road of becoming this evil mess that we see in the series currently? Because we can tell that her body, at the very least, has been corrupted, as she has several blood-like veins spreading across her entire body. Now, does that mean that her soul is corrupt? That's kind of difficult to ascertain because we don't know for sure until Rooster Teeth confirms it. But if her soul is corrupt, that would lead me to believe that Ruby Silver Eyes would be able to petrify her. Now, you may be thinking, well, didn't Summer Rose go and fight Salem? Why didn't her Silver Eyes work? Well, I think Summer either didn't know how to fully utilize her Silver Eyes, or Summer didn't try them, or Summer's eyes were not strong enough. See, I think Summer could very well have used her Silver Eyes and petrified Salem, but kind of like the Leviathan with Ruby, she just wasn't able to stay petrified. So she broke out, proceeded to kill Summer, or capture her, or something along those lines. Now, Ruby is going to be different because she's got a lot more room to grow. And why I say that is because Maria, when they were fighting the apathy, was actually really surprised when she saw the power of RWBY's eyes. As you can see in the clip, she seems to be shocked by the power that RWBY's eyes have after having no training in them, having almost no experience in using them, and she seems legitimately shocked that they do what they do as well as they do. And that is one of the main reasons I believe RWBY is the answer to defeating Salem. Now, that all hinges on the fact of Ozpin is not able to defeat Salem. We all know that. We saw the clip with Jinn telling him that he cannot defeat Salem. But I believe that that is a question error on his part. He asked, how can I defeat Salem? How can I destroy Salem? He didn't ask, how do we destroy Salem? Or how can Salem be destroyed? He didn't ask that. Had he simply asked that, I guarantee you he would have gotten an answer that he would have liked. But instead he asked, how can I destroy Salem? And because he said that, he got the answer, you can't. Because Ozpin himself cannot destroy Salem. But had he asked, how can Salem be destroyed? Jinn might have answered, we don't know yet, because it's in the future. So, I don't know how that would have worked out, because Salem being destroyed is obviously in the future, and Jinn said that she cannot answer questions about the future. But what if it's already preordained, and somebody is already destined to be able to defeat Salem? Is that an answerable question? Or is that just something that we're not able to really figure out at the moment? Now, Jinn's last question was already used up, but I personally believe that it'll be coming around here in the next year or two, because there was only 2 questions used in the actual show, and we're pretty certain that the relics were locked up for 80 plus years, and with the way this show's going, I think that the lamp will get its final question once again, eventually. We don't know exactly when that'll be, but I think it will, in fact, get its final question once again. And that also leads into another topic. If our main characters are able to get the lamp again, if RWBY asks the question, how can I destroy Salem? Will she be given an answer? Now, I don't know if she'll get an answer, for the simple fact that it's in the future. As I've already discussed, we don't know if, since it's posed in a theoretical future, if that Jinn will be able to give an answer to this question. Because, it's in the future. We really don't know how that would work out with Jinn. Because Jinn does know the answer. We know that. Jinn knows everything from what we know. And so if Jinn knows who could destroy Salem, would she tell them? Because theoretically it is in the future, but it's also in the past. Because when they were born, they could have been destined to defeat Salem, and Jinn would know that. And from that point on, they would be destined to destroy Salem. And that would be a part of the past, yet also a part of a theoretical future. So I don't know if that would be an answerable question for Jinn. However, I do think that eventually they will figure out that RWBY is the key to beating Salem. And she will figure out how to use her silver eyes better. And I believe she will eventually disintegrate one of the massive Grims, such as the Leviathan, the Dragon, or the Si Fei Long, I think it's what it's called, from Volume 4, the Blake and Sun fought. I think she'll eventually be able to disintegrate one of those using her silver eyes. And maybe even turn the big whale to stone if it's brought back in future volumes. But I think that might wrap it up for this video. I can't think of anything else I want to talk about. So, if you guys enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like. Go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button. I'm almost at 30 subs, so I really appreciate the support I've been getting recently. It's been super awesome to see my channel grow, and I'd love to continue to make theory videos in the future. So go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Peace out, and see you in the next video.